Hi, welcome back. It's me, Teacher Gail with God Heals to Her Ministries. Thank you guys for taking time to listen to me run my mouth. Today I want to talk about, how when you do things wrong and then you try to blame somebody for your idiosyncrasies. So you blame the devil. You say the devil made me do it. Well, I just want to talk to you today about the devil not making you do anything that you don't want to do. What I mean by that is, guys, the devil can't make you do anything. Now, what he does do is he does like he did Eve in the Garden of Eden. He entices you. He may say some things to beguile or trick you, but he can't make you do anything. And you know what I hate to hear people say? Oh, girl, they made me so mad, or oh, he made me so mad. They can't make you do anything. You get mad with someone because you choose to get mad. They may do something offensive, but you can choose not to be offended. Guys, I struggle with that. I'm not lying. There is no, I'm just going to have to be straight up. I can't sugarcoat it. I struggle with that. And see, if the enemy knows that you have a weak spot, he will continuously make different people touch that weak spot or do something that he knows will cause you to get angry and lose temper. But we always say, oh, the devil made me do it. Or we've heard people say it. But I want to talk to you guys about a situation in the Bible. We already know that there are times when demons and spirits or even the devil goes to heaven and have conversations with God. And so the Bible has shown us a couple of instances where we were allowed to peek into a meeting that God has. In Job, there was a meeting that God had with all of his angels, and of course, Satan is one of them. He appears at this meeting, and God asks him what he's been doing. He tells the truth. I'm going to and fro in the earth, up and down the earth. That's what he does, trying to find somebody that he can make mad, or somebody that he can control to do his bidding. And we often fall prey to that, people. We are all guilty. I got the t-shirt to show for it. I can remember specifically when an enemy tried to entice me, deceive me. And guys, guess what? It almost worked. But let me tell you about it. It's going to be quick. I have been in a situation where I was in a separation. My husband and I were separated. And I had prayed and I asked God to change my husband, to do whatever it took to transform him into the man of God that he wanted him to be, or to send me another man of God, because that's what I wanted in my life. And so God was working on my husband spiritually, and he was showing me the steps, because every time he would do something to help change him, my husband would give me a call. Now, mind you, we were in two different states. He was in one end of the country, on one side of the country up north, and I was down south. I mean, we were in two totally opposite sides of the country. Not state, the country. And so while I was here and he was nowhere to be seen, and I had 2 kids, I was going out. God had given me a semblance of a peace. And I was going out, taking my kids out to dinner, and we were out eating at this restaurant, me and my 2 kids. And then the waitress came over The first time she came over, I didn't think anything of it. She gave me a drink. And she said, that young man over at the bar sent this drink over to you. And I told her, I said, tell him thank you, but I don't drink. Okay, so the enemy was trying then to entice me. And so she took the drink back. And later, that when we got ready to leave, when I got ready to get in my car, there was a card on my door. So this person had been watching me ever since we got out of the car. He knew what car I was in and everything. And so I saw the card, I took the card, I tore it up and I threw it away because I knew what the enemy was trying to do. Because if I had done wrong, then that would have been a way for him to go and do the same thing with my husband. So at any rate, that didn't work. He tried on several other instances in different situations where guys would approach me. Now, mind you, even with my 2 kids, so that showed you they didn't care about the kids. That they really were trying to get me to fall to the wayside. But by the grace of God, it didn't work. And then God did what he said he was going to do. He transformed my husband. He repaired our marriage. And now we are happier today after 30 years than we have been our entire marriage. But it was just the grace of God. But that's how the enemy operates. But let me show you another thing. When in Job, when Satan was allowed to attack Job, it was only because he was allowed to attack Job. Satan had to ask God to move his hedge of protection from around Job so that he could attack him. He had to have permission to attack Job. So we're in heaven. We see this visual of the enemy going to God for permission to do whatever it was he thought he could do. But go to 1 Kings chapter 22. I want you to read that when we finish this. Because in 1 Kings chapter 22, we see another situation where God uses. Now, this is a little bit different from Job. In Job, Satan was allowed to test Job, to attack him just to test him. But in this particular situation in 1 Kings chapter 22, an evil spirit was actually used to do God's will. You see, they are used by God as well. And so here is this meeting taking place in heaven. And God is saying, who can get Ahab? Ahab is this evil king in Israel. That's Jezebel's husband. And he has been so evil for so long that now it's time for him to die. He has turned Israel totally against God and he had all of Israel worshiping Baal because that's what Jezebel wanted. And now it was time for him to die. And so he attempts to, I guess, beguile a good king by the name of Jehoshaphat. He wants Jehoshaphat to go to war, to battle against the Syrians with him, to take back some land that the Syrians had taken from Israel, Ramoth Gilead. And so Jehoshaphat calls for a true prophet of God, to come forth to give them God's word. And there's only one left that Ahab knew of, which was Micaiah. And so he calls for Micaiah. Now, mind you, Micaiah is about to tell him some things he really don't want to hear. Micaiah gets there, and all of the false prophets have been prophesying that Ahab was going to win this battle left and right. Micaiah gets there to let Abraham that a lying spirit had been sent And that spirit is using his false prophets to convince him to go and fight in the war. So then rather believe in the man that's telling him the truth, he would rather believe the liars. And that's how people are. That's how we are today. People, you would rather believe a lie because it sounds good than to believe the truth. It has not changed. There are demon spirits putting lies in people's mouths, and I have been guilty of this as well, believing them. And so Micaiah comes forth and he lets them know that there was a meeting in heaven, and God wanted somebody to come forth to give him an idea of who would convince Ahab to fight this battle. And a spirit came forth. We don't know it's an evil spirit until the spirit says, I'm going to put lies in the mouths of his prophet. That informed us that those were evil spirits. That was an evil spirit. And God said, it will be accomplished. In other words, you have my okay. I will allow it. That's what happened. Guys, you know lies come from evil spirits. Have you ever met a person that will lie about the smallest, the teeniest, tiniest, minute thing? They have to lie about it to make it sound good. Don't believe them. This is what happened. Now, mind you, Ahab believed Micaiah. He got angry with Micaiah, but he believed Micaiah. Jehoshaphat, the good king, lending his hand thinking he helping somebody who's a brother, a fellow king of Israel, was about to be set up. Ahab had Jehoshaphat dressed like a king, telling him that they were going to put on their kingly attire, but when it was time for the battle, he didn't dress in his kingly attire. He thought that Jehoshaphat could take the fall for him. People, you have to be careful who you hang with, because you could be hanging with somebody who you think is a friend, and they are actually setting you up for the fall. But God, if Jehoshaphat had not been a man of God, maybe it would, that little trap would have worked. But because Jehoshaphat was a man of God, when they went to the battle, the other king of Syria gave a specific command to only target the king because he was going to take Ahab out. Jehoshaphat was dressed in his kingly attire, and so they went after him. When Jehoshaphat cried out, they say that the army realized that it wasn't Ahab, but it was the Holy Spirit redirecting them away from Jehoshaphat because he was a man of God. See, sometimes we can get ourselves in the wrong predicament and God still have to bring us out of it. And so they were in a predicament where the wrong man was about to be killed. Now, here's what happens. When you are meant to die, nothing can stop that. One of the guys from the Syrian army shot a random arrow in the air. And that random arrow went straight to Ahab and killed him. It was directed by the angels of God. You see, when God is for you, he is for you. But when he's not, and your time has come, no devil in hell can stop it. And that's what happens. Stop saying the devil made me do it, people, because he has to have permission. Only God has all power and authority. Thank you for listening from God Hears the Hurt. This is Teacher Gail. I really appreciate you. I will see you at the next video. And know that you know you are in control of you. The devil can't make you do anything without God's permission and without yours. Have a blessed rest of your week. Bye.